Hey there guys, BlackCross here, and I figure I'd go ahead and make this video in regards to the state of play that Sony put out last week. And, in response to it, I have to say that it was kind of underwhelming in my case. I know for a lot of other people it was overwhelming due to the announcement of The Last of Us Part 2 having an official release date in February. Glad for them, but in my case there wasn't really anything exciting for me per se, and of course naturally I wouldn't be making a video if that was the case. However though, there are a couple things that do need mentioning, considering the fact that in the days coming up to what has happened to now, the state of play is not exactly the best video that they put out. If nothing else, it became even worse as more information came out. So for starting off, we got the fact that technically the Call of Duty Modern Warfare game coming out later in the month, normally I wouldn't care, but what I've heard recently is kind of a downplay for what Sony has been known for, and unfortunately it's kind of disappointing at the fact that Sony continues to do this. So if you don't know, last year we had a mishap, well not a mishap, but it was a thing that Sony continues doing, and people continuously down them for not allowing cross-platforming to even be a thing. Cross-platforming, for those that don't know, a process in which where companies are able to allow a single game to be played on multiple systems, like for example Minecraft, where it was available on everything. It can be played on any and all platforms, and you can play with friends without being on the same system. So in other words, it's a very good thing all around, but Sony continues to be negative in that field, where basically Sony refuses to allow players to play games on other systems. And basically the way Sony stated it, they state that their system is the best thing to play games on, and so on and so forth. Really, the reality is that Sony doesn't have anything to fear. If nothing else, they have more of a reason to allow players to play games on other systems, considering the fact that they are already at the point of selling over 100 million PlayStation 4 systems worldwide. That's insane when you think about it. So for Sony to continue this method is kind of annoying. So what do I mean by that? Well, according to what's been stated on Modern Warfare information-wise, apparently the survival op mode is exclusive to the PlayStation 4 up until October of 2020, which is a whole year, not a month, not 6 months, a whole year exclusivity, which means Microsoft users will not be able to use this functionality until a year after its original release. And if you're a Call of Duty fan, you know that a Call of Duty game gets released once a year, which means every year there's always a new Call of Duty game. And so this is really annoying that Sony continues to do this method, that they continue to release content but then try to make online exclusivity. Now, I'm not sure as to how many modes there are when it comes to online mode, so maybe it's not completely asinine, but to see that there is a mode exclusive to only for Sony for a year, it's just, it kind of devolves back into the whole Sony doesn't want to play nice with Nintendo or Microsoft for that matter. They say they do, but the online thing doesn't show that. It shows quite the opposite. So I sincerely doubt that Sony is doing the right method when it comes to its online campaign stuff, so to speak. And if you want to know more information, I'll put a link in the video for you guys. Bogey basically talked about it, and that's where I got my information from. And so to see that Sony is continuously doing this, it made me kind of wonder, are they really going to carry this out in the next console generation, considering the fact that next year will be the console release for the PlayStation 5, much less the console generation entirely. So this is kind of annoying to me, really, in all honesty. The next big thing that mostly involved me per se was that Medieval finally had its demo release on that day. And you're watching the footage right now. Medieval finally had its official demo release, or as it's called, the short-lived demo, which is kind of a cute title, but it's very short, so it's enough to kind of give you an idea of what the gameplay is going to be like. However, I do have some fears about this demo, or the game per chance. Now, if you don't know, technically I did try playing through Medieval about a year ago or so, basically playing it on the original PlayStation 1, you know, just to kind of see if it's a game that I would like or something like that, and I actually did enjoy the gameplay, I truly did. My only complaint, however, was that the camera angles was nauseating, making it almost unplayable due to the fact that when you play it for like more than an hour, you get dizzy, and so on and so forth. So basically I played it for like close to like, I think 5 hours at the time, and I started to feel a little bit nauseating during that point in period. So just to kind of clear that image out of your head real quickly, would devolve back into the demo. And the demo kind of has that same problem. If not, it has another problem. So see, this is technically a next generation medieval game. It's not just a HD remaster type thing, it's a remake. So as a remake, it means that there can be improvements to the game, right? Well, from the way it looks, just like how the trailers look, my fear was that it seems like your attacks and their attacks kind of go through each other. There's no like feeling behind what's going on. And as such, yep, it's just as I feared. It's basically, it feels like the enemy's attacks go through you. In other words, you're not knocked back. But when you attack the enemy, they don't feel the same thing. There's no weight between the two. It's like as though as if nothing's there, and yeah, there's no physical force going on. So in my personal opinion, maybe it's just me over-exaggerating on the demo, but I feel like the main game is going to be kind of a net type game. And as of right now, you can pre-order this for $29.99. But in all honesty, in my personal opinion, I would only get this for like $15, and then it would be an okay game to add to the collection per se. It's not exactly outstanding like how Crash Bandicoot or Spyro did, and unfortunately Medieval, even though I really enjoyed how it plays, I couldn't really play it due to the camera angles, and unfortunately it suffers that same problem in this demo. Clearly and unfortunately, it is basically like as though as if they took the main game program and replaced the old graphics with new HD quality graphics for the PlayStation 4, and yeah, that's basically what it feels like, unfortunately. I mean, I could be wrong, maybe they might have improved this whenever the full version comes out in October 25th, but we'll just have to wait and see. And finally, there are some much needed details added on in regards to the state of play, whereas I'm kind of surprised that they didn't even talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now I know technically they did that in the last state of play, but in all honesty, if you could have actually posted it up, seeing as how technically the last known update was actually that of the box art being revealed for the standard PlayStation 4 game. And then of course, aside from that, you also have the fact that Square Enix was at the Tokyo Game Show, and they released their own trailer out. Maybe they didn't have another trailer that Sony could use in their state of play. Maybe that's it. Maybe Sony didn't feel like that they had enough to put out more. But it just, in my personal opinion, from what I'm seeing, this state of play was kind of a disappointment, unfortunately, in my personal opinion. So, are we going to get another state of play? That's pretty obvious. I'd say we'll probably get one probably in January, if not February, because I really don't see any other reason to release any more state of play videos unless they had more, you know. Unlike Nintendo has a lot of IPs, a lot of games that they can make, and they can easily dish out a lot more when it comes to their Nintendo Direct segments. Whereas Sony, they don't really have a lot of IPs, and currently, as of right now, they are fixing to switch over to a new console generation, so obviously there's going to be new games for the PlayStation 5 rather than the PlayStation 4, considering the fact they're fixing to wrap up on the PlayStation 4. All honesty, this is just kind of, it's getting to the point where the state of play is getting to be where it's not really necessary to watch it live, whereas it's just best to kind of like fast forward it just to see if there's anything interesting, you know, instead of watching a full 15 to 20 minute video of nothing, just do a fast play of it and be like, boom, done. Even though technically Sony has got it to a point to where it's basically a full-on fast play mode, you know. It's like there's nothing really there these days. So anyway though, guys, that was just my opinions that I wanted to talk about, stuff that I felt like was kind of being dirty and all that stuff, and unfortunate disappointment that I'm feeling from Sony themselves. But anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.